So I can't remember the last time I agreed with Ron DeSantis about something, um, but here we are. The day has come. Governor Ron DeSantis has vetoed a bill banning kids under 16 from social media. Governor Ron DeSantis has vetoed a controversial bill that would have banned children under 16 from social media. The move comes as lawmakers have unveiled an alternative proposal. The legislation, House Speaker Paul Renner's main policy priority this session, was approved by a bipartisan coalition of lawmakers last week. DeSantis previously signaled he would oppose the bill, citing concerns that the legislation failed to give parents the ability to choose whether to give their children social media access. You got to strike that proper balance. You got to strike that proper balance when you're looking at these things between policy that is helping parents get to where they want to go versus policy that might be outright overruling parents, DeSantis said during a press conference last week. But hope is not lost for some version of the bill to be passed this session. Just hours before DeSantis issued his veto, Senate President Kathleen Passidomo said on the Senate floor that her chamber will consider related bill HB3. Under a proposed amendment in that legislation unveiled Friday afternoon, minors under 14 cannot have social media accounts, but 14 to 15-year-olds can with parental consent. In addition, the language says any commercial entity where the majority of its content is known to be harmful to minors would have to have some sort of age verification mechanism. Again, these are issues that we have discussed at length in some Senate committees over the last several weeks, and I look forward to further discussion on the floor next week. Passimodo said political committees on both sides of the issue have also launched competing polling and social media advertisement campaigns. A group called the Citizen Awareness Project paid for a poll and found most Floridians oppose the bill. So we'll see if DeSantis' veto gets overruled. It's quite possible. But I think that was the right move on his part. Because a bill like this is, I think, an unhelpful example of paternalism. So paternalism is basically this idea that some person or group or the government should be preventing you from harming yourself in some way, or preventing people from harming themselves in some way. So the idea is, well, we gotta prevent these kids from having social media because the social media could have a harmful effect on them. And you can get into the nitty gritty of paternalism. I'm not entirely against it in all cases, but for the most part, I tend to veer off and away from paternalism and be suspicious of paternalism. I often think, where people want paternalist policies, you can do other things that are probably more effective. So, dealing with the, potential negative effects of social media, particularly in children, I think media literacy needs to be emphasized in schools. We need to try to teach people from an early age how to use social media, how to sort through, various types of content, how to find that balance between engaging in social media, but engaging in, real world interactions as well. Obviously, we need to emphasize the, mental health because as many of us have experienced in our own lives, being on social media can be very depressing if you're comparing yourself to other people. So, having those mental health resources, doing our best to foster good mental health, and doing our best to teach people how to have boundaries with social media and teach people to have more balanced perspective about social media. I think that's what you need to do because, social media is a mixed bag, right? I think it's done a lot of good for the world. But I think there have definitely been harmful psychological effects on people due to social media. Many adults can have harmful psychological effects from social media, it seems. So I don't think it's at all insane to think that children could as well. But I think, as DeSantis put it, I mean, this is taking away parents' control to some extent. Parents can have the parents can have like you know there's parental blocks like for websites or for devices, right? So there's ways for parents to try to regulate and monitor their children's social media, but also like when you're if you're preventing young people from having social media, you're to a large extent preventing them from community. You're preventing them from further engagement with their peers outside of in-person interactions. And there's nothing wrong with digital community, not at all. Many young people have find great benefit, and many adults find great benefit from digital community. And social media can also offer a lot of information. It can be very informative. You can learn all kinds of things from social media. I mean, this is just anecdotal, but I've learned quite a bit from TikTok, and that sounds, some boomer out there is gonna like laugh at me for saying that, but no, it's true. I mean, I've learned a lot about the world and myself, and what it's like to be a young person, growing up in this current time through TikTok, and I've learned other more maybe academic type ideas from social media as well. But yeah, in the end, I think media literacy and mental health should be our focuses when it comes to social media, not banning children. These older politicians who probably are barely on social media, they probably don't even understand social media. Why should they be telling young people, oh, you can't do that? They shouldn't. And then one more thing, just a little jab against Ron DeSantis here, even though he did the right thing in this case. It's funny how he's interested in parental control in the case of social media, but he's not interested in parental control in regards to the healthcare of trans youth, right? It's interesting. He's like, oh, wait, paternalism is okay in the case of trans youth. We can't allow, parents to allow their kids to go on hormone therapy. No, 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 no. But we can allow them parents to choose what social media they go on. And you're like, dude, oh my gosh, this this man really has no principles. But I, if I may toot my own horn, do actually have principles, which is why I will come on here and be like, no, this person, in this Republican said something I agree with, or this Republican did something I, respect, right? Like I'm willing to tell people when I think someone that I don't like said something or did something correct. That's what it means to have principles. That's what it means to actually stand up for your beliefs. Someone like Ron DeSantis just likes to pick and choose their principles for whatever suits their purposes. But in the case of not allowing young people on social media, he's fundamentally correct. He was correct to veto that bill. And like I said, we'll have to see the fate of that revised bill going forward.